Hi everyone, good afternoon, good morning, good evening to where you are in the world. I am here with a video, and obviously I'm speaking because finally I made time, or I had time to do this. However, this is just what do you call that? This is just going to be a compromise to what you're looking for on a guide specifically, because this is not, I don't have the capacity, or I don't have the time to do an actual video step by step editing. And you know what happened to my previous video of tutorials, in which it ended up with a very low quality and unbearable quality, to be honest, and I don't like that. And I guess this is the best way I could address the guide that you're looking for. It's not technically a guide, it's more like my gameplay. The gameplay I can share with you, what I am doing, uh, everything else. So, without further ado, let's start. Okay, so I actually prepared a slide for everyone. I'm very sorry that this has been delayed for so long, and yeah, like I said, this is just going to be a compromise. I hope in the future I will be able to have more time or a better tool in order to develop or to create a clear video on how I game, or how I game, how I play. My gameplay is all about. But right now, this is all what I have for a moment. I'm very sorry that it did not reach your expectations probably, but as much as possible, I would like to share what I can do or what I have on playing our beloved Windwalker. Okay, let's start. So introductions. I'm Light. My name is Laura Light. She's a Windwalker, and I've been playing Dragoness since 2013, and I've been here for a very long time now. I've been a Windwalker main since that, since the beginning. However, I changed to artillery for some time because I had this thing whenever that I am so geared during that time that Windwalker is not that quite strong. I had this thing that I want more DPS. It was also the time that I started raiding dragons, Ice Dragoness, Red Dragoness, something like those. Ice Dragoness and Rune Dragoness, in which I really noticed the difference between artillery back then is very strong and the Windwalker. I have a lot of same advanced gears throughout everyone in my party, but the DPS output, I'm not convinced. So I changed artillery back then. However, during the boost or semi boost for Windwalkers, I brought back, or I came back to what I love. There's nothing that I can change. That I really like the gameplay I have for Windwalker. The gameplay of Windwalker is very nice. It's very flexible, and yeah, I love it. I just love it. I can't. I might change main in the future, but right now, as of the moment, I've been a true believer of the Windwalker. Okay, so like I mentioned here, I cannot guarantee that this gameplay may apply to you or may apply to you. However, I'm a true believer that Windwalkers are flexible, and there will not be a right or wrong gameplay. However, there will be a stronger gameplay. What I mean by right or wrong is that a gameplay that a strong gameplay, but you end up dying is not a good gameplay. You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying is, we're going back to the belief of a dead DPS. Uh, if you're a good DPS but you're dead, you're a dead DPS. So there's not change in that. You're really a burden to the party. However, if you're a quite weak gameplay, you're having a quite weak gameplay, but end up surviving or mostly surviving 80%, 75%, you can gauge yourself. It is still a better gameplay than the stronger gameplay because you end up surviving other than being a burden to your party. And I think that is the one that makes the most. the gameplay that doesn't make you die. Especially knowing Windwalker, if you see my guide on the forums, it's quite updated, but it has the specific skill by skill description on the iframes, on how I use skills. I think it's just better to check that out because that is in text form. I also like to thank Sot, my friend Sot, for the GIF that was in there, that were in there. So I took the liberty when Dragoness was down before to study the skills one by one by then. So I won't be tackling them one by one here because you can refer to the guide that I have in the forums. I'll drop the link on the description below in order for you to check that out. But right now, let's move for the next slide. And the next slide is just describing my hotkey system. So I basically have a hotkey system. What is happening is that personally I have a difficulty toggling between two set of hot skills. So what I did is I cannot hot swap each and every time. It's just a personal preference probably. And what I came across is that this is the most effective system that I have for my hotkeys. This is basically applicable to all my classes that I'm using. However, there's a few variations depending on what class I use. So generally speaking, my slot 2 is reserved for only filler skills or negligible skills that I use for filling or for some gaps between the reads or runs. Also, this contains the long duration buffs, which are 10 minutes long, which we will not cast unless we are in party buffs or party buff, party wipe buff. You're dead, you're resurrected, something like that. But generally, what I have on slot 2 are just utilities. If you can see here, I have my muffins, I have my pots for FM runs on this field or in this area, and also most of the Tempest skills that I have. And generally, these are not likely to be used skills, generally speaking. Now for slot 1, this all contains the skills that I primarily use on my characters, on my run, or on my raids. Okay, the slots 3 is I always reserve for an air skill. I don't know if you find that weird, but it's always an air skill, most likely an air skill. So like in this case, this is Eagle Dive. Next one is the slot. This is for just the buffs, the DPS buffs, the important buffs that we have. For example, we have Showtime and we have Spirit Boost. A fun fact or basic fact is that, well, it's not a fact actually. It's a tip. Okay, it's a tip. You will have 2 Spirit Boosts. This is with plate in one CD of Showtime. So for whatever reason, that is the reason that I always cast Spirit Boost, because I'm more inclined to use Showtime. Showtime is more important to me than Spirit Boost. Showtime lessens the skills for the air time, the air skills. That's why I always cast it whenever it's on CD. So the thing is, if these two are both on cooldown, you will take 2 Spirit Boost cooldown to 1 Showtime. That's why you will have one time that Spirit Boost will be up and Showtime will be down. So you can cast it whenever you want. What I prefer is that I always cast it. The way I reviewed my previous runs or my previous videos is that I always cast this in order to have Showtime ready as soon as possible, because this is a cooldown reduction, right? And it affects this one. Okay, so 8 is usually for my ulti skills. Why is it on 8? Because this is the button that I can feel safe, that without accidentally pressing everything else. The others are utilities you can use whenever you need or require, and that's it. Okay, now I think it's better now to go to a video that I prepared to review my gameplay. Actually, I cannot provide here. This is the more efficient way because I don't see working on it one by one per scenario because there's no perfect scenario in the raids or in the runs. And yeah. Okay, so let me just open this one and I'll just. So if you see for here, usually you will always start with the so if the boss is one keep that high above, tayo sa point. You begin with the DPS. If you notice here, I start with the keep high above, tayo sa point. What happened there is that I use first Willow Kick, keep go back, high above, tayo sa point. Okay, if you notice, I use Willow Kick and then I chain it with Butterfly Float, I suppose, but it did not appear as an icon, and I proceeded with my Eagle Dive. This is because if you see that the distance between me and the boss is quite far, or there's a distance between me and the boss. So what Willow Kick does is I use the Willow Kick to boost, firstly, as a CM3 for my Eagle Dive, which I will have an icon over an icon. Can you see my mouse? Oh no, it will not show my mouse, unfortunately. There will be above the circle beside Showtime over the top. It will have a 3 seconds effect to boost the DPS outcome or the attack power of Eagle Dive. And after that, if you notice, I did not go with the full cycle of Willow Kick. That is because doing the full cycle of Willow Kick consumes time. And whatever consumes time consumes the buff time. For me, the important thing is that my burst is much stronger than it usually is, rather than fulfilling the full kick of Willow Kick and missing a few seconds gap or having a second gap for the Willow Kick buff or for the CM3 buff. If you notice, or if you don't notice, the Willow Kick buff or the CM3 buff is starting whenever you cast Willow Kick. And Willow Kick has a cast time of a few seconds, and that will take 1 second or 2 seconds of your buff time. What I'm doing is that whenever I cast Willow Kick, I cancel it officially. I cancel it with either Air Skill or Butterfly Float tip tops, or Flash Kick, and then proceed with Eagle Dive or the ulti. But the ulti is another thing. Okay, what I prioritize is Eagle Dive because 2 Eagle Dives or 3 Eagle Dives in 1 Willow Kick. Depends on the buffs. If you have a Brimstone, that's what's going to happen. Continue. Have 2 AC Eagle Dive, you cast it at the same time within the duration of the Willow Kick dive, Willow Kick buff. However, that is quite risky because this run, actually, if you notice, if you watch this before, I'm quite playing safe, and that's why I chose this video to show in this guide or in this discussion, because there's always a biggerness that you cannot YOLO every time you have. Even though you do not you have a healer, it doesn't really make sense that you YOLO every time you have the chance and die. You have died. And in this Raining Blossoms field, we do not have the option to resume. That's another factor. That's why I'm playing safe. I'm in my defensive gameplay, where usually I'm always on my defensive gameplay. Unless I know that I will be able to catch up, or the boss will not make any scratch of me, I will go YOLO gameplay. But on on helpful scenarios, on general scenarios, I do not advise YOLOing. If you end up only dying, especially on party scenarios and especially on raid scenarios, because on raid scenarios, that is a very crucial mistake and critical mistake. Unless your team is very capable, but we will always assume that whenever you join the party, you should always assume that your DPS is required to that in order to clear it. You're not going to be carried. You need to work your best in order to be as helpful as DPS to the party as possible. That should be, in my opinion, your end goal. Be as great help to your party as much as possible. Don't be a dead DPS. So in here, I am playing defensively. Let's see if I can use some this. Some point. First, and we will go back to the slide. Okay, on the slide, this is whatever I have in mind whenever I'm airborne or whenever I'm playing. Should I continue staying close? Like in the video, you see that I sometimes stop DPSing because I know there's a mech, a deadly mech that's coming. So, previously to that, I've experienced this nest and that raining blossoms, and when I end up DPSing in that circle thing, the circle mech, I end up dying most of the time. So what I did on that clear run is that whenever it appears, I usually stop DPSing in order to be safe, and in order to gauge what I can do next and what I can do better. Will there be a mechanic happening that I am having trouble into? That's the same thing that I said on the previously. I know that I'm having difficulty dealing with that mech if I'm continue DPSing in the duration of it. So what I choose to do is I stop and I defensively move away in order to not be dead. If you notice that on that video, uh, that video, uh, I was really being careful not to die, because during this time I was just one hit or two hits, and our healer can always not heal. There's not always a heal available. So yeah, that's also one of my things that I'm doing, guys. I don't usually rely on healers. It's good to have them, but I know that they're in there, but I rather not rely to them. I always think that the healer usually utilize their heals. I don't know if you will find that weird, but that is what I do. Okay, unless it's really crucial or I really know the mechanics that much, I will not risk it, especially for me and the healer. Because usually what happens is we all blame the healer for not healing, but we all need to recognize that the healers and the heals have cooldowns, people. They have cooldowns. So if they have cooldowns, there is a point in time that they don't have a healer ready for you in ever if ever you are in danger. That's why you need to keep safe. Okay? Okay, so the next point I have is if I stay close, will there be a chance of me surviving? This is another thing. If I have a healer and I know that they don't have heal, especially if they have heal for 4-man parties, that's what our agreement are after the party, before running, and I trust my healers on the guild. However, on certain scenarios, you cannot absolutely rely on them. So, if I stay close, will I have a high chance or a chance of surviving? That is one of my major concerns because, like in the video, if you see, and I mentioned earlier, whenever that mech comes, I always die. So I do not want to risk anything at all. And just stay defense. Okay, I will lose 3 to 5 seconds of DPS, but I rather lose that 3 to 5 seconds of DPS than die. Because if you die, you're burdened into party, in theory. Especially on critical moments or critical raids. Wherein that is not an option, especially on time attacks. But right now the time attack is quite a joke. A lot of people clear with 100% debuff. So raids on dragons. Dragons right now, luckily they have a resu feature in between mechs. However, that doesn't happen too often. It's just a certain part of the mechanics. So if you're dead at 19% in FDN throughout to 12 or 11%, you're a dead DPS over there, my friend. It's not going to be a good run for you. In the end, you will be a burden to the party. That's what you're going to be are. And we are having parties in order to contribute to a party, not to be carried. Please keep that in mind. Okay? Unless it was settled or it was agreed before that we will carry you. You don't have to DPS, but if you can DPS, that's fine. That is totally fine. That's beyond the agreement. But in general, pub speaking, we are in a party to make or to contribute in DPS or to contribute in what slot we are, not to be carried. Okay? Now, the next mechanic can be iframe. This is also the key, one key that I usually do. That's why I mentioned before, I always save or I don't usually use a spiral edge unless I don't have any skills to use or other than that, because I know that it can save me for whatever reason, for whatever surprising mech that will arise on the field. Okay, so we'll go back to the video. this is a time to think. Okay, I'll right second. Hold. Okay, during this period of flight, you can think. There are short moments where you can think. Okay, whenever you're in the air, you will be able to maneuver whenever you want. If I can, in this scenario, I can move back with butterfly float or with tip tops. I'm not sure what the skill is. Oh yeah, butterfly with tip tops backwards to be safe. I can also use flash kick eagle dive to DPS since I'm near. And yeah, those two scenarios. Okay? So what happened here is that I continued to DPS since in this case I know the mech, I think, and my HP is full. I will be able to tank one hit, and I suppose my healer has heal, and I proceed with the scenario. Okay, so also whenever you're up in the air, you can, like I said, you can tip tops whenever you want, wherever you go, forward or backward, to extend the range, and then you will be able, if you're going to DPS after that, you can go flash kick and then use eagle dive in order to do a good DPS. You can also here, you can use flash kick and air pounce. If it's on seed, it's not it's active, so you can air pounce as well. But on this scenario, I choose to land on eagle dive because eagle dive is my priority skill. If you notice, I use swift attack because I know for the fact that this mech is long and this mech is controllable for me. I will be able to avoid things getting hit. We will be able to DPS in safe spots. Safe spots are clear. In that case, I will be able to DPS on the side. And on the side, if you're able to be safe, you will be able to DPS whatever, whenever or on how you wish. As long as the duration, for this duration of the mechanic, I use swift attack over there, just in case it suddenly changes or it suddenly hit. I will be on iframe, and then like I said, it changed the mechanic from X from X. It changed to Y. Now I tumble away in order to gauge the situation, to analyze the situation. What should I do next? I don't know if this is going to be helpful for everyone who's going to watch this, but these are my thoughts. I'm going to leave you with this questions that I have. I always do ask myself whenever I am running. So, if you're in the summary of this question is the number 5. If I die, will I be able to resu? So for whatever reason you YOLO'd or you miscalculated something, if you will be able to resu, then it will be fine, especially on the later cases of the nest. If you're just going to clear or you're just a few seconds away on clearing, you can YOLO, but YOLOing has some cost. So whatever happens, Will you be able to resto? If you will be able to resto, it's fine. Just YOLO, heal. If you kill, that will be happy. If you die, you can rest. However, on raid mechanics or non-raid situations, death is a grave sin, or it's a grave penalty, and it's a grave penalty for a party, especially for exploration parties and unexperienced parties. And if you die, that's it. Okay, so I always keep in mind that if I die in this one, should I be able to rest? So of course, I'm not a perfect person. I usually miscalculate at some points. That's why I always record my runs. I'm not usually posting them. I record them. I advise you to always record your runs if possible. You review them to whatever difficulties you're having, and on the next run, on the next scheduled run, you will be able to accomplish or to plan a way. I will do this next time. I will do this next time. So this, like I said, in this Raining Blossoms run, I usually DPS on one mechanic, but I realize after 5 runs that that is not possible. I'm going to die, so I rather risk 5 seconds of DPS to be safe and be in a safe spot than to DPS and die and have the 50% chance of dying, which I don't want because this one is our first clear on the on this run. So okay, so I guess that will be all for this video. Again, I am very sorry that it's not the video that you are probably expecting. However, I hope that this helped you in a few situations. You guys, this is me discussing. I should replace this, no? I should replace this as Lite's Windwalker discussion. If you have any questions, I would like to address them on the next video, similar to this one, because you know what happened to me editing videos. It's not nice. This will end up very nice, okay? So this one should be drop them on the video on the link below, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you so much for your support. If you like this, leave it a like. Wow, vlogger. I hope that we can reach 1,000 subscribers soon, but yeah, that's not going to be the case because I'm not really into editing stuff and we don't have show demos. But I really appreciate all your support for this matter, and thank you so much. Have a nice day. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.